Hello, we're Melinda and Maria Mont
Hello.
from the Universitat Autónoma de Barcelona. Unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, we can't be with you in person for this conference. So here's our recorded presentation of Connecting Classrooms, Building Citizens, AI-Mediated Telecollaboration and Early Civic Agency.
Thank you, Melinda. Why does this study matters? We think that many of us working in education feel a similar tension right now. On one side, young people are more digitally connected than ever, but on the other side, meaningful civic participation and authentic intercultural dialogue often feel increasingly fragile. At the same time, AI is entering classrooms very, very quickly, sometimes even faster than schools can really think through how to use it pedagogically or even ethically. So for us, the question in this project was not, shall we use AI? But rather, how can we use it in ways that actually support human connection, empathy, and critical thinking? Because technology by itself does not create intercultural understanding. The learning design around it does.
So this is a very encompassing project. It's just absolutely huge, as you'll hear in a minute. And we cannot talk about all of it, but what we focus on today in the study is how did the project, as Maria has pointed out, how did the project contribute to civic learning and intercultural understanding? And what did learners gain from this AI-infused telecollaborative project?
How did we frame the study? Our thinking comes from several intersecting areas. From sociocultural theory, we understand learning as something that happens through interaction with others. Telecollaboration adds the intercultural dimension, learning through digitally mediated exchange with people from different contexts. Then civic education brings in ideas like participation, perspective taking, and agency. And finally, work in AI and language education helped us think about prompt literacy and critical AI awareness. One thing that became very, very important during the study is that AI was never the center of learning. The center was always the relationship between learners, because AI simply became one more participant shaping the interaction.
So due to time constraints of this presentation, we can't explain the entire project. Suffice to say, in a nutshell, that primary education students from Spain and Nigeria were first introduced to the Sustainable Development Goal 6, water conservation, clean water and sanitation. And then they carried out research on water issues locally, shared these with their international partners, and together they worked to create an international water campaign, a water awareness campaign, which was presented simultaneously to the schools, parents, community, and even local politicians in both countries. If you're interested in knowing more about this project, we've provided you with a QR code here, as well as the website, which you can consult later. You can also get in touch with either of us. Our contact details will be available at the end of the presentation.
How did we analyze this huge amount of data? This was a qualitative study because we were interested in interaction, not only on outcomes. So we collected classroom recordings, Google Meet interactions, AI prompt histories, studying reflections, and project output. Then we analyzed how students constructed meaning together. What became especially fascinating was seeing how children move between human dialogue and AI supported dialogue almost seamlessly. And those transitions reveal a lot about how they were thinking at that time, how they were questioning, and how they were making assumptions.
Again, due to time constraints, we can only present here fragments and snippets of the data that are representative of the themes that have emerged in our study. In this upcoming video, you will see the teacher, Maria, leading the students through a discussion of a video about water problems. The video was created collaboratively. The video that the students had seen was created collaboratively between the two teachers as an introduction to SDG 6.
Here, do we only have it here? Is the water a problem? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. No? Yes or no? Yes. Is it just a problem from Spain? The water issue is just Here. Do we only have it here?
Yes.
Only in Spain?
No.
Where do they have water problems?
Oye, ¿sabes qué pasa?
Now we're about to see a second very short clip of video interaction. In this case, this interaction became one of the most interesting moments, in my opinion, in the analysis. One student, Max, who is neurodivergent and comes from a Moldavian family background, suddenly expands a discussion beyond the original Spain-Nigeria framework. Let's have a look at the video. In Nigeria, do you think that the Nigerian boys and girls have a problem?
¿Qué pasa?
Yes.
Mira, ¿sabes qué duro es trabajar en mi país más que África?
Oh,
Y
yes.
mira que nadie respeta a mi país.
And what is your country, Max?
Moldavia, que nunca tuvo mar.
And Max, do you think in Moldavia do they have water problems?
Sí, muchos.
Yes? Like
Falta de comida.
and food problems. Yes, that's true. As you have just watched, Max starts connecting the conversation to broader global concerns. And for us, this really illustrates how telecollaborative environments can create openings for unexpected forms of civic imagination. Sometimes the most meaningful moments are not the ones that you have already planned or you had it in plan as learning outcomes, but the ways students reposition the conversations themselves, as this was a clear example.
Now we're going to show excerpts from discussions and transcriptions of students' interaction with the AI platform, in class discussions and then some of the transcriptions. All of these data are centered around the mystery classroom. Each class has 10 questions. They ask each other to try to guess where the other partner is. And this is a typical intervention done in telecollaboration. But with older students, this is usually done in the first session, in one session. But because of the age and language level of the students here, this was divided into 2 sessions. So first they ask the questions, first they think of the questions, and then they ask the questions, collect the information, and in the next video, in the second video, they guess which country it is. This gives them time in between to do some of the research, some key research that they needed to be able to guess who the partners were. So in this example, you have the students are working with the AI platform and they're preparing for the game. They're consulting with the AI, which was a special child-friendly engineered AI platform, and they're asking the AI if their questions are good questions, because Maria was really insistent on you have to ask them good questions that are going to help you discern where the other countries, the other partners are from. So you can see that they're asking the AI to correct them both linguistically and on the content. They show geographical reasoning by using continents as categories for eliminating some of the choices, and hierarchical world knowledge, continent, then country, then class, then location. So this sort of top-down hierarchical organization of thought. And while this may seem quite logical to us adults, it's not always so clear to young learners. And this is quite important to see that they're doing this. They also show both task and audience awareness by asking whether the questions are useful for the game. So in this next transcript, which comes after their first meeting, and they now have some information, they've received answers to their yes/no questions, we can see that the students no longer limit themselves to such large geographical groupings like continent, like countries. They ask more questions with more refined distinctions, such as topographical markings, indicating an awareness that Africa as a continent is geographically diverse. This group also seems to have narrowed down their choices to Cameroon or Nigeria, and they use languages spoken by their partners, which they had heard them speaking already, and they'd gotten some answers about languages. So they use this knowledge of languages spoken by the partners to refine their questions, demonstrating deductive geographical reasoning. Maria is going to explain this next slide.
Okay, so basically here we see how these are different moments along the project between the synchronous meetings that kids, for example, at the beginning of the project, they started saying if they say or they express the color of the skin of a person, they will be called racist. But the students develop this intercultural knowledge, and they eventually, as we have seen in the examples Melinda showed before, they were even able to write black without any hesitation. So we have seen a development of their intercultural competence in here, intercultural competence, sorry.
So in fact, Maria was referring to this slide here where the skin color comes up. So here the students seem to be moving away from simple factual world knowledge, countries, and towards geographical identities, towards awareness of representation and personal identity. The students use salient, observable categories, such as skin color, because they could see them, they saw the skin color, perhaps even clothing, although this is not mentioned here, as resources for understanding the world. Although this could be interpreted as an evidence of prejudice, but the previous discussion that Maria just highlighted has already made manifest that they are aware of the social and moral implications of using perceived human phenotypes for categorizations, and it was something that really had them worried. So they now realize that everyone has different skin tones. It's perfectly fine to talk about skin tones, and their interactions here may even reflect a recognition of the different skin tones of persons throughout Africa, and deserves further inquiry in our research.
So which are our findings? So overall, we found that the project supported much more than language development. Students developed curiosity, empathy, collaborative responsibility, and greater awareness of global local connections. But what became especially visible in the data was the shift in how students position themselves in relation to others. At the beginning of the project, many interactions were based on assumptions or simplified categories. For example, linking entire regions with poverty, as we have seen in the images before, deserts or lack of technology, as they were assuming in Africa. As the exchanges progressed, students began asking more nuanced questions and showing greater awareness that realities are complex and diverse. We also noticed important moments of self-monitoring and reflection. For example, some students paused before speaking because they were thinking about whether their comments could sound racist or offensive. From a civic education perspective, that hesitation is significant. It shows emerging ethical awareness and perspective taking. Another important finding was that students increasingly saw themselves as participants rather than passive learners. They were not simply completing classroom tasks, they were trying to communicate meaningfully with real partners from Nigeria, solving problems collaboratively, and create messages for authentic audiences, creating different formats of awareness campaigns. We also found that AI supported confidence, especially for younger learners who were unsure about their English. Students use AI to test questions, redefine language, and organize ideas before interacting with their peers. And at the same time, the data clearly showed that AI could also reinforce stereotypes or overly simplistic reasoning if there was no teacher mediation. So one of our key conclusions is this: the real educational value did not come from AI alone or telecollaboration alone. It came from the combination of technology, dialogue, and critical pedagogical scaffolding. And perhaps the most important shift was observed was this: the students moved from learning about other countries to learning with people from another lived reality. And that relational shift is where civic learning became meaningful.
So inevitably, there are limitations to the study, not least of which is the size of the study, and we also acknowledge that the teacher was acting as researcher. Still, we feel that this is an important first step towards a more ethical and deeper understanding of how technology and telecollaboration can have a positive impact on the civic development of young learners in an increasingly interconnected and complex world. It's our belief that when thoughtfully scaffolded, AI can support reflection, collaboration can support dialogue, education can support civic imagination. Thank you for listening to us, and we wish you a happy and productive conference.
Thank you.